Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I want to talk about something that's been weighing on my mind recently. And that is a follow-up video to one of my videos that I created a couple of years ago on how to boost your sales and audience on Creative Market. Somebody recently commented why there wasn't a tool for bestsellers on Creative Market. And I thought that was a great question, and I wanted to make a video to answer it. So if you've been selling on Creative Market or thinking about doing that, stick around because I'm going to be brutally honest about the platform now and whether it's still worth your time for 2024. So let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, my friends. So the reality of selling on Creative Market in 2024. So a little story time. Back in 2020, Creative Market was a gold mine for me. And I was consistently making over at least $2,500 a month on top of my full-time income that I was getting from my job. So it was pretty freaking great. But fast forward to 2024 now, and things have changed so drastically. My sales have plummeted to less than $100 a month. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, especially if you're used to making a lot of money on a specific platform, but it's important to be transparent, and that is what I aim to do by telling you this in this video. And hopefully you put your energy into something that will actually generate you some income. And so I also think that Creative Market as a platform has shifted. They've changed some of their subscription models, and it's much harder to make consistent income on their platform. I also recommend looking at other platforms and seeing where you have the most luck. I know there's also Creative Fabrica. I was also selling at one point. I didn't really like their sales model, so I took all my products off of there. I still have a profile on Design Cuts and Design Bundles, which I sometimes make sales, but it just really depends. So there's a lot of other things to factor, like the economy too. Our economy is not doing so good here in the US, and I know in other countries as well. Also, just looking at what's currently happening here in our country is that there's been lots of tech layoffs primarily. So the buying power of consumers are going down. And so I think that also has something to do with sales, online sales, or anything that you're trying to sell online is just going to go down the drain. So thankfully, it's not my only income. All right, next topic. So creating for a mass audience versus creating custom work for a client. So this is still true. I talk about this in my previous video. And I think that one of the key things I want to discuss is the difference between creating for a mass audience and doing custom one-off work. So when you're creating for a mass audience, your focus should be on product branding. I used to put in a lot of time and effort to research trends in the marketplace, and I would look at what kind of products are selling and doing really well on Creative Market and trying to figure out how I can infuse my style into that trending product. So not to say copy other people's work, don't ever do that. But what I'm saying is get inspired to create your own version of it. And the other thing you need to think about, how to make your work stand out in a crowded marketplace. So this is the same thing that I mentioned in my previous videos, like how do you stand out? How do you make your product stand out and be unique? So you also have to think about what problem you're solving. So if you're creating social media templates, for what niche, for what market? Are you creating it for real estate agents or companies to kind of use as templates for plug and playing on social media? Or are you creating it for an agency? Or, so the list can go on. I would recommend doing that research in that specific market and that target audience as well. So who that target audience is, who that product is going to gravitate towards. So just a little bit more research and digging is what is needed. Custom work, on the other hand, allows for more creative freedom, but that creative freedom is so specific and tailored to that client. So if you're working on, like, for example, I've worked on branding for food truck companies, and that specific branding only works for that. So you want to think about how, you can scale your product. So custom work doesn't really have that scaling potential as products created for a mass audience. To give you an example, I'm just going to go through 3 products that are popular. And if you've seen my shop, you'll know what I'm talking about. So 3 of my products that are popular are digital tie-dye Photoshop brushes, volume 2. So that has gotten me the most sales in the last couple of years. The other one is my Astrology Vector Set that I created with the birth chart vector set and the planets and the signs as vector icons. And then the third one is my Boho Landscapes, which is a Photoshop version of just plugging and playing and creating boho landscapes out of the different textures and the color palettes and the different shapes. So what I'm trying to say is that all of these 3 products have gotten me sales because I created YouTube videos for them. And so I've created product videos and uploaded them on YouTube. I've done product walkthroughs. I've showed my audience how to use my products, and that's a good way to get buy-in from your customers. So I recommend, if you're trying to go that route, I would recommend creating a product video. It doesn't have to be that long. Just something that, shows them on the back end what that's going to look like when they buy it. All right, my friends, here's another one. And I talk about this in my previous video, still completely true. Picking a niche and branding your products. So how do you pick a niche that's going to work for you? So one of the things that you need to start doing is identifying your strengths and what you enjoy creating. And then look at the market demand. What are people searching for? What problems can your designs solve? Your brand should be an extension of your style and what you bring to the table. So when you do this right, customers will start seeking you out, and then they'll actually follow you and keep a lookout for any new products that you start creating. Highly recommend pick a niche, do some research, and come up with some concepts and ideas that'll help you stand out in the marketplace. All right, friends, this is the most anticipated question. What are some of the challenges on selling on Creative Market without any data? So, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, a viewer had asked me why there isn't a tool to check for bestsellers on Creative Market, kind of like what you can do on Etsy. And I use Etsy to kind of experiment right now, and I use Everbee, and I know a couple of different artists and shop sellers on Etsy that use that tool, and it's a great way to look at the bestsellers and look at the keywords and to figure out what kind of products are trending and what you can create. And so the answer to the question why Creative Market doesn't have a bestseller tool, it's because Creative Market is a privately held company. That's exactly why. And so they don't have to share any sales data. They really don't have to. And this actually makes it challenging to know what's selling well. But I think there's a little bit of confusion too, because you can do this on a lot of different sites, especially with Etsy and Shopify. But I think Creative Market is a completely different platform. It's really for top tier designers. I'm going to say top tier because they really do have a great marketplace for all kinds of talent to create and sell their work. So I'm going to say it's just so different. It's also for other creatives who don't have time to create graphics from scratch, or for other small businesses who might know how to use, design software and don't have the time to create something from scratch. Well, Creative Market offers ready-made graphics for anybody to use. All right, friends, are you ready for my honest opinion on Creative Market? After all of this, you might be wondering, do I still think Creative Market is a good platform? Honestly, yes, I do still think it's a great platform, but I'm not sure it's sustainable if you're looking for recurring sales. With my sales dropping significantly, I've honestly had to reevaluate where I put my time and energy. And so, friends, my advice to you is to weigh the pros and cons and see if it's going to be worth your time. Only you can make that decision, but I hope that this video gave you some clarity to decide whether you should put more time and energy into your Creative Market shop, or if you're thinking about starting one, I still think you should do it and realize that you're not going to get recurring sales in the beginning. So it does take a while. I know that when I first started back in 2016, it would only be $100, $200 here and there, but I was also contracting and freelancing work as a designer. So you just have to understand that you do need some other form of income, and this will not replace it. So you might have some good months or bad months, but I recommend having something else on the side, whether that's working with clients or doing freelance design work or any other part-time or full-time venture that you can stay safe, making an income and still having that time and space to be able to explore your art and sell your work on Creative Market. All right, friends, thank you so much for sticking with me throughout this entire video. I hope you got a lot of useful information for this deep dive into Creative Market. And I hope my insights help you make more informed decisions. So if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more content on design, business, and marketing, and all the tools and tips and tricks, and more insight into creative entrepreneurship. Please let me know if you have any questions. Type it below the comments, and until next time, I'll see you guys. Bye.